Hello. Today I'd like to talk to you about emotional intelligence, or as I mentioned in my book, my lack thereof. So in there, I think I compared my emotional intelligence to that of, I forget if it was a rock or a piece of office furniture, but either way, it was pretty nasty back in those days. Um, but I think emotional intelligence, I like to joke around and say, if I got $1 for everybody who mentioned the word emotional intelligence these days, I would be, I wouldn't be filming this from my home office in Montreal. I would be away in Hawaii right now shooting this. So definitely something that's top of mind. And what I've learned now that I'm becoming more emotionally intelligent, and I'm quite grateful that we can actually evolve and become better at this, is just how important it is. I know a lot of organizations these days, it's the number one priority with them, given that the correlation with our level of engagement in the workplace, and productivity, which for organizations is the other P word, it's profitability. So also what I've noticed is my level of engagement in enjoying life is directly correlated with my level of emotional intelligence. So what I wanted to share today is one of the ways that I was able to work on that. One of the books I had, again, if you go to my site, on my website, you'll see in my archive section, I've got what I call my Who Are You workbook. And that was a bunch of self-assessments and some of the tools that I used to just get a better sense of, where am I, what makes me tick. In there I talk about emotional intelligence, so you can actually get a little bit more information on this. But this was one of the books that I found very helpful. It's a book and also includes a self-assessment in it. So it's called Emotional Intelligent 2.0 by Travis Bradberry and Jean Graves. And in the back you've got a code to go in there, and basically you get a self-assessment. And then basically what the book has is ideas of where you can go to kind of work on the different areas that you would want to focus on. So I took that. My test results that I got back, as I said, were not pretty when I originally did it. There's basically, for those of you who aren't familiar with emotional intelligence, there's kind of 4 quadrants in there. What they're calling 2 competences. So the competence number 1 is personal competence, and that is all about self-assessment and self-management. So to what extent am I, understanding my own emotions and self-aware of myself and what makes me tick, and then how am I able to use that information to go forward and, I guess, tick in a way that that makes a lot more sense and is a lot more emotionally intelligent. So that's the first competence, and the first of what I call those kind of like 4 categories. The second area is social competence. So this is more kind of outwardly focused. So your social awareness, so being aware of the impact I have on other people as well, and then relationship management. So the importance of having relationships with other folks. So those would be the 2 categories or quadrants within the social competence. So I got my score results back in those different areas. So from a self-awareness perspective, before I tell you what I scored, I'll just give you the scoring. So if your score between 90 and 100, that is a strength to capitalize on. And if you check out my blog on Strength Finders and where my strengths lie, we're going to see whether that was one of my strengths or not. So 90 to 100. If you get a score between 80 and 89, it's a strength to build on. From 70 to 79, with little improvement, this could be a strength. 60 to 69, something you should work on. And 59 and below, a concern you must address. So my scores, I basically got below 59 on 3 of the 4. And I got a 65 under the self-management. So that's something I need to work on. So as you can see, I had a lot of work to do. What was nice, what I enjoyed about the approach and methodology was that it actually had suggestions of where I could start. In my case, it said, you might not want to go and tackle the relationship piece yet, even though it was my lowest score at 47, that you might want to go and work in another area, maybe around the self-awareness or social awareness areas. That's going to help you out. So it had exercises and activities that I could do, work on those ones. Once I felt comfortable with that, I could work on the other one. So what's nice is you could go back every once in a while and retake the self-assessment as well. So as I mentioned, I think in my book I talked about some of the things that I was doing to become more emotionally intelligent. It has been a long ride. I think since I published my book, I think I've got enough material from emotional intelligence perspective to write another one. So it takes time, as all good things do. It takes lots of practice, and it takes going back, taking a look, and not only just for myself, but actually connecting with other people and getting some feedback from them. Not just my self-assessment, taking the test again, but actually connecting with some people just to see, how am I coming across to them? Am I coming across the way that I want to or not? And that's been a huge help. And I'm grateful and thankful to some of the people who have given me some feedback, and some of it's been pretty tough, and telling me, you have not been very emotionally intelligent, and I'm going to share that with you. I've got other people who, I haven't been emotionally intelligent with them, and they've kind of, unfortunately, they've decided that they're going to go and connect with some other folks. So again, I'm grateful for folks for giving the feedback. I'm grateful to myself for taking the time to do this. I can't go back in time and make any of those corrections. I can just do what I can moving forward. So my challenge to you, if you see the benefit of that, or if there's any other tests or something you can do, to go out there and take a look and see how can you bring up, they call it your EQ. So what can you do to bring up your EQ? Feel free to share any feedback or suggestions or any other tools that you've used out there. I've still got some more work to do, and I don't believe in perfection, so practice, practice, practice. So if there's anything I can use to practice on or share with others, please feel free to share. Thank you. And remember, be you, take care of you, play to your you.